Morning, and thank you all for joining us. As a reminder, once we open up the Q&A section of today's press conference, please leave your lines muted. And then if you'd like to ask questions, please use the raise hand function. We'll open up with a quick statement from Coach.
Thank you, and welcome everyone. I want to start off by addressing what's going on at USC. Mike Bones has been there, has done a great job. And completely understand he's got to do what he feels is best for the short and long term success of the USC football program. Have no issues with that. I, as a coach's kid, much like Clay Helton is, never celebrate someone being relieved of their duties. I don't think that's right. I think it's ridiculous, a lot of things that you hear around college football over this subject. I think Clay Helton deserves a lot of respect. I think he's shepherded the program through some really difficult times, including last year. Anybody who doesn't live or work in the state of California doesn't understand what we all went through this past year with the restrictions and guidelines that we all had. And for Clay last year to go 5-0 in the season, get to Pac-12 championship game. By the way, his third Pac-12 championship game in 6 years. No one else in the South in the entire 10-year life of the Pac-12 has gone to more than 2. But Clay took USC to 3 Pac-12 championships, a Rose Bowl, and operated the program, I thought, with a lot of class and respect. From our fellow coaches. So I want to make sure that that's understood there. That Clay has had to deal with a lot of things the last 3 years that most people don't have to. Part of that program down there, I guess that's fine. For those that have an issue with losing to Stanford, we've been good for 10 years. They're living in the past, right? Where this USC can't lose to Stanford. So just want to make sure that I got a chance to say that. I have love and respect for Clay and his family. He's done an outstanding job down there. I know they'll find the next head coach there. But Clay has a lot of respect in our coaching profession for how he's handled himself over the many years. Getting back to our game, coming out of that game, one significant injury. Probably not long term. We'll make a call here in the next day or so about Tucker Fisk. Not too bad. May need to give him a week off or so. We'll see how he's feeling. But he would be the one guy in our team right now that's questionable for the upcoming game. I think everybody else is doing well and getting ready to go. Good performance the other night. Love to finish the game a little bit better, complete that last third down and potentially run the clock out. Maybe kick a field goal but really try to run the clock out and not give USC that opportunity to march down there and get another score. Offense had a chance to close the door. Defense had a chance to close the door. We didn't do that. One of those things we need to improve on. But I thought good performances by many guys. But like I told the team the other day, there are no trophies handed out for being 1-1. Played a good game, back on the road again, another long trip, bunch of distractions, still COVID concerns with being in another state, another hotel room for 2 more days before we play a game. So a lot of things to clean up from the game also from a football standpoint. So 2 games into the year, coming off a good win, but we're not where we want to be yet. So open up for questions.
If you would like to ask a question, please use the raise hand function. We will open up with Dave Kiefer.
Yeah, hi, Coach. Just what did you sense was Tanner's comfort level just starting off the game? And, just what were you most impressed with? Because it seemed to me like his ability to stay in the pocket and get throws off quickly with pressure and be accurate was really impressive.
Yeah, every player has their own personality, but especially quarterbacks, and Andrew Luck had that combination of intensity and calm. KJ was 95% intensity, right? Kevin Hogan, who was at the game, also that extreme confidence, just walking in the huddle, just always in control. Davis Mills was just calm. Tanner McKee, just let's go, right? Positive, energetic. That didn't go well. What do we got next, right? Just that like easygoing, calm, comfortable, positive, and nothing rattled him. Made a mistake here and there. Hey, locked it away, learned from it. But right off the bat, very comfortable, very confident. Just really, really easy. And then the actual playing of the game, for a guy with long limbs, he's got a quick release. So even as guys get close to him, that ball gets out really fast. Good enough athlete to slide. He slid a couple times to stay out of danger, made a couple of nice throws. But also the ability to put the ball down the field. He loves to throw the ball down the field like most quarterbacks, but he does a really good job of giving guys opportunities. It's one of those things that he's improved upon working with Coach Pritchard really since spring. He's always been a good deep ball thrower, but you don't throw the same ball all the time. The relationship of the receiver and the defensive back matters. Over the top, down the field, back shoulder, lead him, don't lead him. Those are the things that really showed up in this game that he's been working on. And that was just really good to see.
Next, we'll go to Harold Gutman. Go ahead, Harold.
Hi, this will be your third straight game away from home. I think every other Power 5 team has had at least one home game already. Did you schedule like this kind of on purpose, or were there some reasons you wanted students to be back on campus first, or was it just the way it worked out? And then sort of as a follow-up to that, you obviously played 4 games away from home to end last season, totally different circumstances, I know, but how has that experience being away from home kind of helped you this year?
Yeah, I was going to say it is 7 straight games away from home for us going back to last year. And the scheduling, and it'll be even more interesting as we go forward with this alliance, but scheduling has always been difficult between the early USC game and not having students. So we want to maximize the opportunity for our students to see our games. So every year we always kind of front load the season with away games. Not all of them, but typically we be able to slide one home game in there periodically. But just the way the schedule worked out, our home and home with Kansas State that got pushed this year, all these things kind of fell the way that they fell. But I think we'll reap the benefits later on down the road as we get back into more home games. But honestly, for our guys, we know how to do it. We know how to handle, we know how to travel it, we know how to be able to focus and concentrate on the task at hand. Going 4-0 last year on the road, taking the trip down to USC this past weekend was good. Our guys were able to remain focused, especially with all the LA guys and all the stuff going on. Our guys were able to retain their focus and get the job done. So anticipating another workmanlike trip where we don't let the distractions get to us and go out there and try to play our best football.
There's one more on the schedule. This first game against Vanderbilt. What went into scheduling them?
It's been one of those things that I think all of us in this little category I'm about to mention all recognize that it'd be great to play each other. So going back to home and home with Wake Forest, home and home with Duke, home and home with Northwestern, and home and home with Vanderbilt. Like those are things that we all looked at as positive things for us to play each other. So this is kind of the tail end of that group, and hopefully continue to re-engage with those other athletic programs as well. So I think it's a positive thing for us, positive things for college football.
Go ahead, Troy Clarity.
Yeah, Coach, two things. One, after two games, how would you assess how things have gone with the offensive line, especially in the run blocking department to this point?
I think there was a market improvement from week 1 to week 2. Didn't necessarily show in the stats, but we had positive runs against a front that is extremely active. These guys move, they slide, they slant. There's a lot of pressures, a lot of blitzes. So I thought all in all, we had a positive game from those guys. Not exceptional, but I would say it was positive. It was a good step up from the week before. That's what we want from this group, is just a steady improvement. In the pass protection world, I thought they were really good against a front that can really pressure you. These guys are tough to block. They really are. So that being said, if they're going to load the box, I may not be the smartest guy in the world, but I do have a Stanford degree. They're going to play man to man, and at the receiver, we've got 6'5", 6'4", and 6'3", 240, and a 6'5", 245-pound tight end. We're not going to keep slamming it in there. We're going to spread them out and make them defend those guys, and that's what we ended up doing. So I think that's one of those things we're going to have to kind of play with throughout the course of the year. And if somebody wants to double those receivers and stay high up on top, then that potentially opens up the running game. So I'm not going to worry so much about the statistics. Whereas when you watch the game and say, hey, especially after we ripped off that 70-plus yard run, the safeties were down and they're playing tight coverage outside. So it made more sense to go back outside.
Second thing, Pac-12 versus the SEC. Would a Stanford win over Vanderbilt just mean more?
I don't know. That's for everybody else out there. I really try hard not to get into all that stuff. We're trying to be 2-1 after this weekend. What that means for the conference, what that means for other conferences, especially with all that's going on, it just, gives me a mild headache. So whatever people want to say, it's fine. It means something. It doesn't mean something, but I just want to be 2-1 after this weekend.
We'll now go to Ben Parker.
Yeah, Coach, you mentioned that, you guys have had a lot of success against USC. Judging by my math, you're 7-5 against them as a head coach. Just what's been the key to getting your guys amped up and have a winning record against those guys?
Yeah, it's 7-5 with at least 2 of those 5 still stuck in my craw that we could have pulled out. It's no offense to you, Ben, at all. There's still this perception out there, and I kind of addressed it in my opening statement, that USC, this is not the 70s, right? It's not the early 2000s. Gosh, we had a winning record against everybody in our conference outside of Oregon and Washington State, I believe. And the Washington State one was lopsided our way, and was lopsided the other way for a while. Oregon's been nip and tuck, and they got the edge on us. So, I look at USC as a really good program that's always going to have good players, much like everybody else in our conference. So, our goal is to beat them all.
We'll go back to Troy Clarity.
Your initial thoughts on the Commodores and Vanderbilt and some things they might try to throw at you.
Yeah, much like us, they rebounded from a subpar performance on the first game to come back and win a tight, close game. They have length. They're big on defense, on the defensive side. On the offensive side, they give you a variety of looks. They make a big play. They'll jump the ball and get you with tempo. They're pretty balanced running and throwing it, much like we like to be. And I do know this about, that program over the years. I know Clark's come in, he's put his own spin on it, and Derek Mason was there for years. And, this Vanderbilt program, they've risen to the occasion, right? They have tough games every year, and they come to fight you. They don't lay down against anybody. And I don't anticipate they will lay down against us. I told our guys yesterday, we are not the toughest game on their schedule, right? So don't think that they're going to back down to us. They're going to come and fight and scrap like they always do. So we got to come down there with the mentality of focusing on us and our jobs, and go there and play our best football.
Do we have any more for Coach? We'll go back to Dave Kiefer.
Yeah, Coach, you mentioned about the schools that you guys have a lot in common with, like Northwestern, Duke, and Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt, and obviously their situation is different, but you guys have been Northwestern's been successful also, but you guys have probably been the most successful program out of that group. Why, I don't say why, this is not an easy question, but why is it that you guys are having more success and other schools maybe struggle a little bit more that are in that same kind of academic, standing?
I'm trying to give you the nicest answer I can, because it mean no disrespect to any of that group. But we're the best academic institution in that group. U.S. News and World Report came out again, and we're number 6, and we're still not happy about it, but we've been the highest ranked academic program playing Division I college football since as long as I can remember. So that ability for us to go in and say, hey, you want to play Division I college football and get the best education in the world to play Division I college football. So we've been able to get a lot of those recruits, not to mention of that group, we're also the only one that truly recruits nationally. Most of them still recruit regionally, but I think our academic prestige allows us to recruit coast to coast. So that leaves us up to a better pool of talent, just not a better pool necessarily, just broader pool. Right? We have guys on our team from Florida and Georgia and DC and the Midwest and the Northwest and the Southeast and Southwest. So I think that's helped a ton. But the fact that our academic prestige is world renowned helps a lot.
We'll go back to Ben Parker.
Yeah, that question kind of sparked a question in my mind. How much does it help for you guys, you think, to have you as a head coach that has experience at Stanford? You play there, you know the culture, you've been there for a long time. Tavita Pritchard, same thing, OC, been a starting quarterback. How essential is it to your success to have guys in your coaching staff, you included, that have actual experience at Stanford and really kind of understand the culture of the school and all that goes with it?
I think that helps. I think it helps a lot. It's not a mandate. It's not that you have to have that. For me, it's still about the fit, right? You can be a great fit someplace without being an alumnus from that place. You have to be a great fit with the whole campus, in my opinion, right? It's not just fit the football program. You got to fit the campus. And the fact that I'm an alum, that I understand the campus, understand the people that are here, understand what the school is looking for on top of what the football program is looking for, and be able to find that match helps. It helps that I was a student athlete here. The communication with our guys, and myself and Tavita Pritchard in particular, we've been student athletes here. Can't pull anything over on us. Like, we understand what goes on. Don't tell me it's too tough, right? I'll go take you to my house and show you my degree sitting on the wall. Don't tell me you can't. I played 3 sports at Stanford and got a degree. So it's not like, and not that a lot of our guys are looking for outs, but just saying, hey, we came here to do, play great football and graduate. And we have a plan for you that is time tested, that's proven that you can do both at a very, very high level. So once again, I don't have to be an alum to know that, but to know that is to be a good fit, whether it's here or any place else. Understanding the academic mission of your institution and using that to also help your football program and not look at them as adversaries. I think that's a big part of it.
We'll go back to Troy Clarity.
Personnel wise, Ethan Bonner was not on the depth chart released for this week. And obviously he didn't play last week, didn't make the trip. What's his status right now?
Yeah, Ethan will be out again this week. Hopefully get him back for the following week. But this will be a big week to see how close he comes progressing from his injury. It's not a long-term thing. Hopefully this will be the last game he misses, but we'll see what happens over the next 7 to 10 days.
Go ahead, Dave.
Okay, Coach, I have two questions totally unrelated, but just real quick. Just the first one is just the progress of Ricky and Jacob, just being able to see them on the field and how they're doing. And obviously having not played for a long time, how would you assess them so far? And the second one is, like I said, totally unrelated, but one of your former teammates, Jason Wingard, was named president of Temple University this summer. And you guys have obviously had some incredible leaders that were part of that group in the early 90s and stuff. Want to get your opinion on that or your thoughts on that.
Great. Oh, first, yeah, Ricky and Jacob came in as freshmen together and have been dying to play together. This past game was the first time for an extended period of time they were out there together. And it was just a lot of fun for me to see, just because of how hard those two have worked to come back from injuries. And Jacob missing last week was really tough on him, but it was probably a good thing. He wasn't quite ready. He was not quite there. But Ricky's one of our top tacklers right now. He's playing really well. And then Jacob coming in, I thought he had some really nice plays. But as important is, Levani Demooney and Tristan Sinclair being able to have 4 guys that we can rotate in there. All 4 guys are productive. All 4 guys know what to do. We're going to need all 4 of these guys the whole season. So the ability to keep those guys fresh by rolling them in and out, using some of them on special teams, I think it's been a real big plus to our football team to get those guys there. I appreciate you asking the question about Jason. And I just tell the guys, it's just going to Stanford, right? So forget about who's on campus, but just from the locker rooms that I was in, we got a president of the university, we've got a guy who's running the 49ers, got another guy who's a U.S. senator running for president, got another guy who's on our team that's one of the big real estate moguls in Europe. This is just who you were in the locker room with. As you're fighting to beat USC and beat Notre Dame and beat Oregon and go to a Rose Bowl, you're surrounded by people that are going to be well accomplished. I have multiple doctors that I was in the locker room with that are surgeons and doing extremely cool things. But that's just part of going to Stanford, that you just expect it, that everybody around you is destined for success in their sport and outside.
Go ahead, Ben.
Yeah, obviously you never want to punt. Ideally, every drive is a touchdown. But can you talk about Ryan Sanborn and his performance as a punter, and just how kind of crucial he's going to be to your success this year?
Yeah, I'm not a new wave coach, right? I'm a bit of an old school coach. I believe in running the ball, believe in ball security, believe in making good decisions, but I believe in field position. And still upset we had two other opportunities in the last 2 games to pin people inside the 10-yard line. Ryan's one of the best you'll find at pinning people back. He's also got a booming leg to flip the field position as well. So having a punter, having a great punter, having a great kickoff specialist, having a great field goal kicker, that's all a part of being a championship football team. And Coach Almar's done an outstanding job of finding the right guys, bringing them in, teaching them, helping them grow, helping them be consistent, and helping them be special. And I think that the guys that we have right now, both the guys that we have are starters and the guys behind them, we have a chance to be special in that room, I think, for a while. So that's a big component for winning, in particular, tight and close-knit games that I know we're going to be in throughout the year. Field position, field goals are just huge for winning those games, and I'm glad we have the guys that we have.
Do we have any final questions for Coach? Okay, thank you very much, Coach Shaw.
Great. Thanks, everyone.
Okay, we will be joined by linebacker Ricky Miezan momentarily. Thank you for your patience. As a reminder, we will roll straight into questions with Ricky. So if you'd like to ask a question, go ahead and use the raise hand function now. Okay, we are now joined by Stanford linebacker Ricky Miezan. We will open up first with Harold Gutman. Go ahead, Harold.
Hi, Ricky. Thanks for joining us. I was just wondering, you guys haven't had a home game yet this season. It'll be your third straight game, kind of on the road. What's that like for you? And then you didn't play last year in the games, but just having that long road trip last year, how has that sort of prepared you for this year?
Yeah. So you obviously mentioned I didn't really get a chance to go on that road trip, but I think that mentality has kind of been carried over and into this year. And anywhere we go, we've kind of adopted it in our in our team covenant, but we want to embrace that kind of villain role, when we go into a hostile environment. That's kind of what we want our identity to be. We want to be able to embrace that villain and go in there and, execute what we need to do. And this past weekend, especially, something that we kind of said going into the locker room when we were up was bury them. We're up now, keep it going and bury them. So that was kind of, whenever we go somewhere else, wherever we're on the road, that's, our mentality stays the same. We want to come out with a win.
Now go to Ben Parker.
Yeah, Ricky, can you just kind of talk in general? Defense was much more in sync throughout the entire game against USC than you guys were against K-State. Can you just talk about what accounted for that and what you guys need to do to keep that going forward into next week against Vandy?
Yeah, I think a lot of it came down to physicality. It seemed like we were the much more physical team that night. And then a lot of it also came down to, how, what we did in practice leading up to that week. Just focus down and really focus on what we needed to do in order to execute and get a win. And even then we still let up, in our standard, let up way too many rushing yards. So there's still a lot of room for this defense to improve, but I think, we're in the right track right now. And it just comes down to working hard every week. And going out there and executing.
Now go to Troy Clarity.
Yeah, Ricky, I talked with Jacob Mangan-Ferraro about this after the game. Now I'd love to get your thoughts on this, about the two of you, especially being on the field together, on that field against that opponent. What was it like? And I'm sure very highly anticipated for the two of you in particular to be out there at the same time.
Yeah, no, he's actually, he's one of my best friends. He's my roommate, along with Thomas Booker. So definitely a special night for us to just really, be out there together and play together. We've been looking forward to it ever since we arrived on campus. Freshman year playing scout team together, just going hard, flying around. We couldn't really wait for an opportunity to get out there and play together. So especially against USC, I think it was 2 years ago, we both, walked off the field injured together. So, we both kind of said it's like we almost came full circle. We went off injured, got back healthy, and then finally started versus USC together and got a big road win. So it was definitely a special night for both of us.
What are your impressions of a Vanderbilt, especially their offense in particular?
I think just in college football in general, it's hard to win football games in college football. So every opponent that you play is going to bring it. And especially against us, every team's going to try and bring their best against Stanford. So we're ready for a dogfight. And the biggest thing that we want to do going into this week is hold to our standard. When we play, no matter who we play, we want to play up to our standard. So that's another thing that we're focused in on this week, is just maintaining our level of play and going in an upward trajectory.
Next, we'll go to Dave Kiefer.
Yeah, hi, Ricky. Just wondering, like, when you come back from being off for a long time, what is it that is it instinctual when you get into a game situation? And what is it that you need to knock the rust off and get back, that takes maybe more game repetition?
Yeah. I think one of the most important things for an inside linebacker is their eyes. Your eyes have to be clean when you're reading the line and reading if it's, gap scheme, zone scheme, reading pass or run, or, watching a plunger go back across the line. Maybe they're running a boot. There's so many things that we have to look for. So it's just getting your eyes cleaner and making sure you're seeing the whole picture. And that's definitely there's a couple things we got to clean up in our coverage that we didn't quite get against USC, and then especially against the run as well. We didn't mirror the track of the back as well as we could have, and there are just specific things that we really have to clean up with our eyes. And I'd say that's one of the things that you have to kind of knock the rust off of, is just making sure your eyes are clean and where they need to be.
Do we have any more questions? Oh, go ahead with Ben Parker.
Yeah, you kind of touched on this, but what do you feel is kind of the most challenging part of being a linebacker? Is it just kind of reading and reacting to the running backs, knowing what they're going to do, making calls? I mean, what's kind of the most challenging aspect of your responsibilities as a backer?
Yeah, I'd say it's probably how quickly we have to set everything up and then actually read what is happening. It's just a lot. It's more so the physical part isn't the hardest part. I'd probably say it's the mental part and how quickly everything happens. And you're trying to read so many different things, but it just takes repetition over and over and over. And then once you start to really hammer it down, you're going to make mistakes, and then you're going to learn from those. And then that's when you start really getting the flow of things. And it takes a couple of drives, but then the game just really starts to slow down and you start to see things. But yeah, I'd probably say it's more so the mental part than it is the physical, because I feel like a lot of our linebackers have the physical tools to play well. It's just we have to know where to be and be in the right spots, and that's the part that takes consistent training week in, week out.
Our next question will be from Dave Kiefer.
Yeah, Ricky, this is a total non-football question, but I'm curious about your background with the Ivory Coast. I understand your dad is from there. Your brother, I believe, was born there. Yep. You were not born there, I guess, but what are your ties there? And maybe, I don't know if it's a quick answer, what brought your father out here in the first place?
Yeah. So my family, my dad's side of the family is from the Ivory Coast. And so my grandpa was a Olympic, he was the national kayaking coach for the Ivory Coast. And then he actually started to train my dad, and my dad got into track and field. And he actually came here in, I think it was the 96 Olympics, but I think he got here a little earlier because he had family in the DC area. So he came over here for the 1996 Atlanta Olympics, and he was on their 4x100 meter relay team. So he's probably the reason I'm an athlete today, is because, when I was younger, he would put 14-pound weights in my carrier and make me walk around the house. He's trained me since I was a little guy. So he's the reason I'm an athlete. And then my brother, he moved to the United States when I was in 6th grade. I was just kind of tired of being an only child. I didn't like it at all. When you go on vacations, it's just you and your parents. So wasn't the most fun. So I really wanted to get my brother over here, and we finally got it done when I was in, when I was in 6th grade, and, you couldn't ask for a better brother. So yeah, that's kind of my ties to the Ivory Coast. And I've been over there 2 times, and, it's been kind of difficult to get back over there with football, but definitely looking forward to getting back over there soon.
Do we have any more questions for Ricky? All right. Thank you very much, Ricky.
Yep. Thank you, guys.
Okay, we will be joined momentarily by quarterback Tanner McKee. As a reminder, we'll roll straight into questions. So if you have a question for Tanner, go ahead and use the raise hand function now. Okay, we are now joined by Stanford quarterback Tanner McKee. We will open up with our first question from Ben Parker. Go ahead, Ben.
Yeah, hey Tanner, could you just talk about the USC defense, how much film you've seen on them, and what you expect to I guess my question is, like, what do you need to do as a quarterback to be efficient against their D this Saturday?
Sorry, against USC's defense or Vanderbilt?
I'm asking about Vanderbilt. Just like, what have you seen from Vandy's defense, and what specific challenges do they pose, and what specifically are you going to have to do to have an effective outing against those guys?
Yeah, so far what we've seen, we need to focus on ourselves. The way we execute needs to be how we played against USC, not how we really started against Kansas State. If we execute and do our job, I feel like we can beat any defense. They're a defense that has a lot of size. They have a lot of lengthy guys in the linebacker position or up front, and so we just have to be aware of that and pretty much just play our game.
We'll now take a question from Troy Clarity.
Tanner, now that you got a chance to look at the tape from Saturday and maybe get a bit more perspective on things, how did the reality of what happened on Saturday, your performance, match up against your expectations and what you were hoping to do out there?
I thought we played a really clean game. Obviously, it's not perfect. There's always things you can improve on. Me personally, us as an offense and as a team. But I thought it was a fairly clean game. We won our one-on-one matchups. We picked up their stunts and their blitzes. We were able to run the ball efficiently. So overall, I thought it was a great game. We just need to keep this momentum and continue with the momentum that we gained from that game.
Next, we'll go to Dave Kiefer. Go ahead, Dave.
Yeah, hi Tanner. Just wondering, just from your own perspective of your own performances, from week 1 to week 2, how do you feel like you progressed, or are they completely different situations, or does one lead to the next?
I think you definitely get better each game with a little more experience. Kansas State and USC, their defense, their styles were very different, and so we took a completely different approach. But I feel like us as an offense, me personally, we took a pretty big step in week 2, and so we just need to continue, like we said before. We need to take that same size of step into week 3 and just keep progressing from there.
We'll go back to Troy Clarity.
Any talk in the locker room about maybe perhaps carrying the torch, as this is a Pac-12 versus an SEC matchup, and of course the SEC being what it is in this sport, and the Pac-12 trying to get back up to where it has been. Any extra talk in the locker room about Pac-12 versus SEC and that potential ramification there?
I haven't heard a ton, actually. Obviously, it's a big game with 2 great conferences. So I haven't heard a ton to talk about it, but I'm super excited for the matchup.
We'll go back to Dave Kiefer. Go ahead, Dave.
Yeah, Tanner, I'm sure you get asked this quite a bit, but is there anything about being away for 2 years that has helped you today? Like, do you feel like you have gotten better in some areas because of that, even though you were away from football during that time? I know obviously physically and things, you have to get back up to that, but what about just overall? Like, do you think you're a better quarterback now because you went through that experience?
Yeah, for sure. Obviously, kind of like what you said, physically, it's not ideal to take 2 years off. I lost a few pounds. I lost about 20 pounds actually, just walking around, eating lots of beans and rice and things like that. But just things that you grow, like leadership skills and how to work with people and how to be a better teammate and things like that. I feel like it's really beneficial. And then obviously, like the spiritual side, I'm a pretty religious person, and so I feel like that helps me in that aspect as well.
Our next question will come from Ben Parker.
Yeah, can you just talk about the receivers, what you've seen from them? And even though Michael Wilson's out, other guys have stepped up. Just talk about the performance that they've had for you guys so far, and how I guess how much easier they've kind of made your job for you as you transition to being a starter here.
Yeah, they're great. We have a really good receiving core. We have guys with speed, guys with size. And so obviously all those guys are able to make plays, and kind of like what Coach Shaw was saying, we're gonna take what the defense gives us. I feel like we have so many weapons that we can stretch guys vertically, we can throw the ball high, we can break on good routes. So I think we just have a really well-rounded receiving core. And so we're just going to use each guy to his strength and overall just be a good, efficient offense.
Do we have any final questions for Tanner? Okay, thank you very much, Tanner.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you all very much for joining us. We will send out the recordings of this shortly. Thank you.